No, very, very good. So, Kamal, anything else that you want to be going differently for you?
So yeah, I think I think that's about it, and I want to
Okay.
concentrate on that. Yes. So for
Okay,
now,
great.
yeah.
Beautiful. Greg, what about you, mate? What's some things that you'd like to be going differently for you?
You always set goals all the time, and I'm slowly ticking them off. I have a tendency with my list of chores or jobs that I want to do in the day, and you mentioned it on Wednesday, and I can relate to it. Is that you tend to put it off, or you do the little jobs first rather than the actual job you want to get done.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it was Thursday, the other meetup.
Yeah.
But you get there, you clean your desk first, or the lawns need mowing.
Yes.
They do need to be done, but the actual
Yes.
job you want to do, you put it off to the end, and then you just start getting fired up into it, and then you're going to stop, as opposed to doing the reverse, perhaps leaping into that one first, and then tidying up the house and the other little chores around it. So I perhaps maybe do it the day before or have myself ready, so I just jump straight into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that idea, Greg, of tackling those big things or focusing on those big things. Ravi actually says, have short-term goals in the pandemic uncertain times, I guess. Most important to have fun with the journey. So I might get Tony to highlight that a little bit. And then Ken also says Harvey Bay is looking good at this time of year, Luke.
Ken, well, let me do the second one first. So Ken's just pushing you further north, right up. Next minute, we'll be hearing from you up in Cairns. Anyway, in regards to Ravi's point, yeah, look, you could do short-term goals. Alternatively, you could have a longer-term goal. And so the whole piece with start with the end in mind is you create a goal. So, you might have a 5-year goal, but within that, you then have smaller goals that sit in between where you want to be and where you are today. So you work backwards. So it's all about planning in reverse or planning backwards to then take action in a forwards direction. So Ravi, you can have either or. You can have short-term goals, or you can have a longer-term one with smaller goals in between. So Greg, talking about putting things off, etc. There's a book by Brian Tracy called "Eat the Frog," I think it is. I don't know if you've read that or not, but it's
Brian Tracy, but I haven't read the book. No.
Yeah, so it's just about dive into the big things, right?
Yeah.
Dive into the big things and just get rid of those. Eat that frog, the thing that's making you feel a bit awkward, or you're putting it off, and it's avoidance, right? And there's a whole range of reasons why it's avoidance. The biggest reason that we procrastinate is fear. The single biggest reason. There's a fear of something, right? And so put it off. And what happens is things are important and we delay it. And then what happens is there's this trigger point or tipping point where it goes from being important to becoming urgent.
Yes.
And when it's urgent, then we have the oh shit moments. It's like, oh my gosh, this thing's due tomorrow and I've got to do it. Like I've been sitting on this thing for 3 weeks. Yeah, I'll get to that. And now it's like it's due tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? And now I've just got to go around and I've got to have an all-nighter and get it all done and bang. So it's
just on that, Tony, I've got a food and safety audit coming up at the end of the month.
Yep.
I knew it was coming up for several years.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just hung up on my wife, so I'm in trouble.
Okay. On Father's Day as well, mate.
Father's Day, you're okay.
It's on here.
You know what? At least you've got the videographic evidence of how it all happened, right? It's right here live.
What was I saying? I got an audit coming up at the end of the month, and it's every year. It's annual. It's not like it's a surprise.
Yeah.
And because now the date was set a couple of weeks ago, then I clicked into gear and started getting things done and doing it. Because, as you said, all of a sudden I'll be, oh shit, it's tomorrow. So having a deadline certainly helps you, get up to speed with it.
Absolutely, which is why with goals we want to also put a deadline around those. So the T in SMART is for time.
Yes.
It's not, hey, I want to go and create $1 million and then end of the story. It's no, hey, I want to create $1 million. I want to create that $1 million by this particular date by doing these particular things. And so you're putting a lot more meat around the goal that you've got for yourself. Very good. So let's have a chat about. So from a focus point of view, Kamal, so what's preventing you from focusing?
Again, when I say focus, I guess the term itself, it's maybe concentrating on my goal. And what's preventing me is obviously the constant I've got obviously, you know, a lot of work on, so I'm concentrating on my work, on my files.
Yep.
And then I want to say, okay, well, I want to have some time to invest so I can start, you know, seeing what I can do to achieve those goals that I need to achieve. So, you know, and because I've got a lot of work, okay, I'll do that in the evening. I come home and got my kids, whatever, and then it's bedtime. So I go, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And then it just sort of,
sorry, guys.
it flows on. It flows on, you know, day by day, and then sort of that goal that I want to, that thing that I want to do. My work takes priority, and the clients take priority, and then the family take priority. So, yeah. So I guess that's what prevents me.
Yeah, and so the thing with that is that firstly we talked about get clear on the goal. The next is, why is that important to you? You know, why is this goal important to you? Because if it's sort of, yeah, I'd like to do that, but not really. Like, and I know you wouldn't say out loud, not really, but if you're not fully committed to doing that thing, in heading down a different path with your business, then the likelihood of it happening is going to be quite low, right? So it's about, this is the direction I want to take my business, and I'm committed. I'm committed to taking these steps to make this happen. I want, you know, Boutros lawyers to look very, very different in 12 months' time. I want to have a different clientele for whatever reason it might be, right? But there's a commitment thing, right? That's the first. The second thing is to say that whilst you're busy, and this is the single biggest answer that I get from people when they don't do things, right? And I'm not suggesting for a moment that you're not, but we all have the gift of 168 hours in any given week, 168. Right. And so when you break that down and you think about, well, how much time are you working? How much time are you sleeping? How much time are you doing family things and eating and commuting and all that sort of stuff? And what's left at the end of the week? Right. And for you, be realistic as well. So if you're spending very little time on this new business direction, what about if you spent an hour in a week? What about if you found 1 hour in your week to dedicate to this and you put it in? So you have client meetings, I would imagine. You'd have a calendar that you operate from. Would that be right?
He's just gone onto mute.
Was it something I said, Luke?
Just while he's doing that, we've got a couple of comments that have come through. Sean says, Eat the Frog is a really good book. Nolan says, vision is important. Remind yourself of the vision every day. Use it as your North Star. Work back from there and your daily activities towards your reaching your goals. So really good. And Ravi says, great message, Tony, around that, you know, short-term goals and things and what we talked about earlier. And he says, start early, drive slowly, and reach safely. I don't know if I totally believe that, because I take the odd risk or two. And Sean says, have a read of Simon Sinek's books, Kamal, start with why, etc. He does a bit of a TED talk around that as well. So I think that's what Tony was talking about as well.
I think the point, just to looking at Ravi, because I've just got it down here on my phone, just looking at Ravi's comment, what I like about the drive slowly bit, another way that you could frame that up is a shirt that you often wear, Luke, is patience. Right. So start early. And you know, a lot of people say, well, oh, gee, I wish I had have done this thing 10 years ago or 5 years ago. So I would say to those people that, yes, probably the best time to start something may have been 10 years ago. But the second best time is right now, is right this very minute now. So whatever you're doing now, you can make a change, right? You can change whatever. Drive slowly. Be patient with this stuff. You know, sit with this stuff. It takes a long time. I was having a conversation with someone just recently. I've been going at my business now for 3 years. And I left work, a little over 2.5 years ago. So I did a bit as a side hustle and then now full time. Only now do I feel like I'm having the traction that I was looking for a few years ago, right? And so you've got to stick with this stuff and be patient with it. So drive slowly. And when you do that, I think reach safely. I don't know if it's not taking risk. I interpret that a little bit differently. But anyway, it's good on you, Ravi, for setting that through. So Kamal.
Yes, Tony, I apologise about that. My kids walked in and.
Mate, it's Father's Day. You know what? It's Father's Day. So they're allowed to do whatever they want.
Mate, we're flexible, so we're all good.
All right.
Just want to go back to the point you were making around time. So you would operate with a calendar, right? So you would have a calendar and I'm meeting Mrs. Smith at 9 o'clock, blah, 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 right? Yep. So why don't you allocate some time into your week and maybe you start with 1 hour or maybe it's 2 30-minute blocks, right? Yes. And you put it into your calendar as a schedule. Now, here's the thing. That's the easy bit. Do you know what the hard bit is?
Doing it.
You got it. You're catching on very quickly,
Yes.
right? And so many people go, yeah, well, I put that thing in my calendar, and then it comes up as a reminder, and it's like, yeah, I'll get to that. No, I'll get to. Yeah, it's just a meeting with myself. And so what you're doing, right, is you're in the subconscious level is you're saying, I'm not that important. You mightn't be saying that out loud, but by pushing off meetings with yourself, I'm not that important. I'm not that important. Hitting snooze buttons. I'm not that important. I'm not that important. So it's about personal priority. It's about setting standards. It's about saying, if Mrs. Smith had a meeting, if I had a meeting with Mrs. Smith at 9 o'clock, I would show up, I would be punctual, I would be ready to go, I'd be prepared, etc. Why don't we do it with ourselves? And we don't do it with ourselves because we don't place the same level of importance on ourselves.
Could it be accountability? Because if I did that with Mrs. Smith, she's going to send me an SMS saying, hey, you're late,
Yes.
and I'm not happy, or perhaps lose the client. But with me, it's okay. What's going to happen? I'll go and have a coffee and relax about it, or not worry about it, because Kamal is not going to speak to Kamal and say, hey, you know, you've lost. It's accountability, I think, plays a part with it.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, we've got a bit of accountability going on here this morning, mate, because you've just gone and we've gone and talked about this publicly. So would you like any more accountability than going on a Facebook Live and sharing your intentions?
Exactly. Can you?
We love it. It's on record.
So we look forward to your reporting. But so what will you do about this in the next week? What can you do differently in the next week? Because this is where the magic happens, right? So we can sit here and we can talk about things, but what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to set the time to the calendar today.
Yeah.
So I'll look at my calendar.
Yeah. How long are you going to set? What are you going to do?
I'll put an hour. So
Yep.
I mean, that's what you suggested, and I'll go by that.
Okay.
And it is reasonable.
Yep.
And next week,
yep,
when we meet again,
What day are you going to do it, Kamal?
what day I'm going to do the hour? Well, He's
got to check his calendar first, Luke. So I understand your point, but I also got that Kamal needs to just check with the calendar. So that's okay. So in the next week, between now and next Sunday, you're going to allocate 1 hour.
And I will do the 1 hour.
You'll do the 1 hour. And do you know within the 1 hour what you will do within that 1 hour?
Well, yes.
What is it? What are you going to do?
One, look at the opportunities,
okay,
and in the areas that I need to look at.
Yes.
So look at competition.
Yep.
So how many
competitors are out there? Yep. Do some market research. Yep.
Market research.
Yep.
Areas that may have, demographics.
Yep. Perfect.
So if you're in the middle of so I can be politically correct and nobody gets upset. So if you're living on Mars and in that office on Mars, there's not many people that need your services. So it's unlikely that you're going to get people. Of course. Yep. Or people traveling to you.
Okay. So you're going to spend during the hour, you're going to get do some competitive analysis. Now, do you need to spend any more time on getting clearer with your goal?
Do I what?
Do you need to spend any more time getting clearer with your goal?
I would say yes. Yep.
Okay. So can you do that during the hour?
Yes.
So we're going to get clear with the goal and we're going to spend some time on some competitive analysis. I reckon that's going to fill your hour up. Those two things, right? So you're going to do those two things and then report back to us here in a week's time. And we'd all love, not just Luke and I and Greg, but all of us, the whole community, because there's quite a few people on today, we'd love to hear how you went with that little exercise.
Done.
You're a good. There you go.
I'd love to get Greg's thoughts on what we just experienced with Kamal, because I know how I feel about it, and Tony, you and I are probably on the same wavelength in terms of thoughts about coaching and mindset and so forth. But Greg, what did you feel through that experience?
About what we're talking about with Kamal? Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a talk, our first live with Davina, who we all know. And she talks about, it's not so much motivation, it's routine. And that's what Tony's just helped you out there. You get your diary out and you write it down. And I did it for myself and it's made a huge difference. just because I get home at 11 and then my son's at 4, I've got 5 hours, but I didn't actually write down what to do in those 5 hours. So you waste a lot of time. So what Tony's telling you is find your hour, wherever it is, and actually write it down. But along with that is you either reward yourself if you do it, or you also you can punish yourself if you don't. And you can work out what that is for you. And I know Tony said the other day on the Thursday, he said, just because you make a phone call, don't reward yourself with an overseas trip. You know, just keep it simple. It might be a chocolate bar or an ice cream. We've got to sneak that in, Tony.
Oh, we love it.
I've gone weak at the knees all of a sudden, Greg.
You know, with the punishment might be if you know, it might be no ice cream for a week or something.
Oh no. Oh, Greg.
Let it make you do it, wouldn't it?
Of course it would. Of course it would.
How much ice cream are you having today, Tony? It is Father's Day, so do you let yourself go a little bit crazy today?
No crazier than any other day.
Right.
Can I,
when it comes to ice cream consumption, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
can I make a comment?
Please.
About setting my hour? I think it's also important, don't set yourself to fail. So that hour that I am going to allocate, I'm going to allocate where it's in school hours. So I'm not going to say after school and when I go home and do that hour, because what will happen is your kids are going to be around. You might feel a bit sorry. Okay, so I'll just hang around the kids, and then that hour is gone.
That's why I said to me,
don't set yourself to fail.
My son gets home at 4, and you can't predict what's going to happen then. So
I love it. And you know what that's called? That's called self-awareness. That's what that's called. It's called you're aware of what's going on in your world. You're aware that after school time, because you've got young kiddies, then it's going to be problematic to find that out. Terrific, right? Find a time that suits you. And the same as when Luke was wanting to press you to what day, it's like just look at your calendar. Just look at your calendar. Find a slot when you don't have too many clients, when you think it's going to be the best time for you. I'm a morning person, so I know for me, I prefer to do my strategic thinking in the morning. After lunch, I tend to get a little bit, I do more of the mundane type tasks. That's how I love to operate my day. Other people I know, they work late at night, whereas for me, I'm not much company after about, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So it's all about self-awareness and just recognizing what works for you. Greg, we're going to swing over to you now. Just hang on a second. So for you, it's about the avoidance side of things. So what are you going to do differently in the next week let's start to stop putting things off?
Yeah. Okay. Well, with the list that I make, I'll have it. The actual thing I want to get done, I'll put at the top and do that first.